I just learned my wife lied about my best friend sawed her. It's been 5 years since I went and see and badmouth him, believing her. Throwaway for obvious reasons. Also sorry for the long post. My wife W and I started dating about 5 years ago and got married 2.5 years ago. And we've had 2 kids since getting married. We've known each other for over 10 years, however, and I always thought she was a trustworthy friend. She expressed her feelings for me a year before we started dating, but we had both just gotten out of other relationships and needed time to heal. She then studied abroad for half a year. When she got back, we hit it off and started dating within a month. When W and I became exclusive, my best friend F ghosted us. I couldn't figure out why, seeing as how the 3 of us were all good friends and had hung out several times since W had gotten back. I had even talked to F about W and I possibly dating multiple times, which never seemed to bother him. He even encouraged it. F had a girlfriend of his own at the time anyway. About a month into dating, W tells me a story of something that happened between her and F. 4 months prior, F went to visit one of his friends who was studying in a neighboring country to W. He also decided to stop and see W for a couple days to see the country she was in. In W's words, they went to a bar one night, and she had way too much to drink. She woke up in her bed that night to F taking advantage of her. She pushed him off, but he kept on trying over and over. I hear this, and instantly I am livid with F. He had already been avoiding me for the past month, so I just stopped any attempt at talking to him. I figured F stopped talking to us didn't try to explain himself because he was ashamed of what he did. W said she was confused about the situation and didn't really get angry about it until she had returned from abroad and seen F in person. I had no reason not to trust W at this time, and she seemed very sincere and upset talking about the whole thing. That was 5 years ago. Throughout the years, when F comes up in conversation, W always talks about how gross what he did was. Recently, however, W and I have been going through a rough patch in our relationship. We started to fight a lot, which exclusively is always started by W. She would complain about things I did or didn't do around the house, which would lead to name-calling, threats of divorce, and even accusations of lying and even cheating on her, which is not true. Our sex life went from okay, I'm the HL in the relationship, to a dead bedroom. She blamed it on hormones, pregnancy, postpartum, but it really was getting extreme. These things made me suspicious of her. I thought maybe she's feeling guilty about something. So I snooped. I know it's a kind of SHTTY thing to do, but things have gotten bad, and I wanted to know if she was hiding something. I went on her laptop when she wasn't home, and I found all her iPhone backups. Long story short, nothing incriminating has come up since we've been together. Just texts between girlfriends about kids and whatnot. That's a relief. But then I found the text from before we were dating. I know she had some experiences when studying abroad. She's told me everything, or so I thought. So I took a peek. And there they were, the texts between W and F talking about hooking up when they were abroad. W was saying how great the SX was, how F should visit again so they could do it again, and how she felt bad because at the time he had a girlfriend. Plenty of graphic details that all seem 100% consensual. This honestly crushed me, and not because they hooked up, but because she's been lying to me for 5 years about this. She convinced me that my best friend sawed her. I've even told my family about how much of a scumbag he is, and I erased him from my life entirely. There were plenty of other lies about her past that I found throughout her phone that just twisted the knife even further. I feel like the last 5 years of my life have been shaped by this series of lies. Had she told the truth from the start, I probably could have looked past it. But here I am, just learning about these things now in an entirely more complicated situation. I don't even know how to start a conversation about this with her. What's the best course of action here? Comments. AmITheA. It's possible that your friend did still saw her, even though they had a consensual relationship beforehand. Perhaps she was done with it, and he wasn't. OP. If that were the case, I would assume she wouldn't be texting him when he had gotten back to the US, asking for him to come visit and have sex again. Just the timeline doesn't add up. The story is long. I tried to condense it as best I could. Koning. It sounds to me like F had sex with your wife and didn't want to go for that relationship, so he rejected her. She went for you, perhaps to make him jealous in the beginning, or maybe you were just the next best thing. Now she is realizing that she wanted more. That's why she became jaded and cried sow. He withdrew, perhaps to save all drama. For your sake, I hope that's not the case. But if she's not cheating now, I don't see many plausible explanations of the situation. OP. The story is really complex. But from what I got from their texts, she told him she liked me before, and after they hooked up, they would often talk about their other love interests. He told her that she never had a chance with me multiple times. I'm assuming because he had feelings for her. When she realized she had a shot with me, I think she made up the lie in case I found out the truth. Maybe she was afraid I would leave her if I found out their sexual history. I don't think there is any cheating now. Update. Wow, just wanted to say thanks to everyone for the advice. As expected, I received a ton of different opinions, and I thank you all. However, some of them really helped put me in a better state of mind. Specifically those of you that opened my eyes to the fact that it may have still been abuse despite the texts, and even shared some of your own personal stories that relate to my wife's story. It helped me approach her in a less accusatory manner. I had a long and productive discussion with my wife last night about the things that I had found, and that bothered me. I told her I just wanted the truth, and that I wasn't angry. She explained that while she was abroad, she was partying and drinking pretty heavily, and at the time that F took advantage of her, she didn't fully understand what had happened. She was in denial after it happened since she never expected a friend to do that. She was surprised. She even sent some of those texts to him. And she said she was likely drunk and trying to convince herself that it was okay. When F finally left the country a couple days later, and she had time to really think about it, she realized that what had happened was wrong. She had told F to stop, but didn't have the strength to physically stop it. She had no choice in the situation. She also pointed out that once F left, she had stopped talking to him because of this, which was true in the texts. They went from talking nearly every day to nothing instantly. There were also some other things she pointed out that line up with the texts to suggest that after it happened, she took some measures to avoid having sex with him again, for example, sharing a bed with someone else when the option to sleep with F was available. I know some of you wanted me to talk to F, but I have no desire to, and I definitely would have a harder time believing anything from him. There were plenty of texts from F to W lying about me in order to give himself an opportunity with her. He lied to her, saying I was getting back with my ex who lived 1,000 miles from me and had a boyfriend at the time, and told W countless times she never had a chance with me. W had told me these things in the past, and the text all backed that up. My wife's story is consistent with any other time she has ever told me, and after our discussion, I'm sticking by her side. We discussed our other relationship issues too. Like I said, we had been struggling recently. But the past month has actually been better than the previous 6 or so. Not perfect, but definitely an improvement. She told me that the main reason for some of her actions and words was simply being pregnant, uncomfortable, and not having anyone besides me to vent her frustrations out to. She was sorry for how she treated me, and is going to work on herself to be better. She wasn't mad that I looked through her messages. She even said I'm welcome to look. But she promised she has nothing to hide. Whether you agree or disagree with me, I married this woman for a reason. And while we may be in a bit of a difficult time, I believe we are on the right path. Thanks for reading. Bedtime Shine. And all the other lies. OP. I brought those up too. I think I was so worked up over the big stuff. I made it sound like I found a metric ton of lies. Really, it was only that she said when we first started dating, she always used condoms with past partners. Something I care nothing about, provided she was healthy. She said she didn't want me to think she was gross, and she was sorry. We were still relatively young, 22 and 21. And when we began dating, I think she thought that stuff mattered more to other people than it really does. I mean, it hasn't been brought up in almost 5 years. I think even without the other stuff we talked about, if I asked her about this, she would have come clean anyway. Ask Misha. He never even talked to the friend. He believed his wife word for word despite finding evidence that she lied a lot about other things. I'm not going to make accusations because I don't know any of the people in the story. At the end of the day, it's OP's decision to believe who he wants to believe. I'll just say this. There were so many things that pointed out that the wife was guilty of something. In the first story, he mentioned how she was bitchy, insulting him, starting fights for no reason, and there's a dead bedroom. You have all that. Then you find the wife texting the other guy years ago about how awesome's ex was. Has OP ever received similar compliments? No, because in the first post, he mentioned the ex started off okay, not awesome or amazing, but okay. OP didn't even address a resolution of that in the update. To your point, and being around somewhat similar situations myself, the guy or girl will tend to believe their partners over their friends. Way too many holes in the story, but whatever. OP. Sorry, I tried to keep the main post short and to the point. The whole point of the first post is because I suspected she might be guilty. W and I's discussion and cross-examination between the texts and her story has led me to believe what I believe. There's a lot of details I've explained within these 500 plus comments that have probably been buried. Here are some answers to your questions. She may have complimented F, but she's enthusiastically told me plenty of times that our performances are fantastic. Our sexual life was amazing for the first year or two. Started to taper off, but that's expected. It was still good. She got pregnant right after we got married. Her sex drive went down a lot during pregnancy, but we still had some intimacy. After baby one's ex, life went back up slightly. Got pregnant again about a year later. This time's ex stopped abruptly. Pregnancy 2, while she raised baby 1, was the source of the dead bedroom. She had zero desire to do it, too focused on babies. Still a dead bedroom, and left me unsatisfied and feeling undesired, though. Pregnancy hormones were worse with baby 2, and she took it out on me. Baby 2 came a little over a month ago. She's expressed interest when she's fully healed at being intimate again, even before I made these posts. It obviously just hasn't happened yet. Again, it's kind of hard to be this detailed without writing something ridiculously long. OP. The conversation in which that took place was either the day he had left and was at the airport, or the day he got home, which is basically the same day. I'd have to check again, but I don't really feel that's necessary. That was the last conversation that they had. I went over this detail with her as well. The whole ordeal from assault to F leaving was maybe 3 days, all of which involved lots of drinking. It's kind of hard to condense and remember a 2-hour conversation like we had, but I did the best I could to include the important bits. Thanks for pointing that out, though. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.